Hey there, Variety here. Welcome to today's video in which we're going to be doing a guide on inscription for Tarisland. Today's guide is going to be focused on, stats, echo, leveling, how to obtain certain items. So it's going to be a little bit on the dry side, right? It's not going to be some cool looking video where I'm killing a boss. But this video is going to be very important, especially the echo and the stone upgrading part. Those will be the last two parts of the video, and they will be a bit longer of an explanation, longer than I would prefer, but the information is very important that you understand how it works. So make sure that you watch through all of it and don't clip through, otherwise you're going to miss important parts. On top of the video, I am going to put more specific information in the spreadsheet. So I know I'm going to get questions such as, what is the best rune for my class? I can already see it coming. So I'm going to put suggestions in the spreadsheet. It won't be so specific where I give you every rune for your class. But what I'm looking to do is I'm going to put all of the runes and kind of like all the effects you can get in the spreadsheet. So you can look through them with my recommendations and decide on exactly what runes you want to use. If you're a little bit confused as to what a rune is, I will explain it in this video. Okay, let's get to it. Before we talk about the specialization tree and echo, let's talk a little bit about how to obtain the inscription dust and your expectations of you if you want to stay relevant in the inscription tree. This will not be an exhausting list because no doubt I will forget things, and I will put more in the spreadsheet and I'll extend it as more things open up and as people remind me of things that I've forgotten. But so inscription dust, it's going to be attained in various ways. So for example, one of the ways that you get inscription dust is by doing your universal haul. So as you can see here, dust of inscribed stone. So it's important to go into here and go through all of your universal haul when you can. It actually gives quite a bit of dust, so make sure you're doing that. Another thing you could be doing, for example, I believe the world boss may give it to you, question mark? I believe it does. You can also get it by doing the Dark Invasion. There's a quest here where you have to hand in items and he'll give you inscription dust. You can also get inscription dust from the reputation store. So if we go into the reputation store down here, when you level up your reputation, as you can see here, 2 and 3, and there's more down here. So it's important that you get up your different reputations to acquire these. I got more on China. I only have one set right now on global as I'm only level 5 in the reputations. There are also other ways to get inscription dust, but it's kind of like a lot of different ways playing the game, right? You got to do a lot of different things because a lot of different activities give you a little bit of dust here and there. And then you combine all that dust together and it goes into the inscription tree. I believe I'm 100 inscription dust short from what I'm supposed to be at today. But right now I am at 5,000 inscription dust. So as you get your inscription dust, you're going to apply them to the tree and level it up. But this is the part that we're going to talk about in the next section of the video. So now that you know about inscription dust and a little bit on how to obtain it, remember more stuff in the spreadsheet, let's talk a little bit about leveling it. Okay, so I'm sure you've all noticed the inscription tree if you've been leveling. And you may notice that you have less inscribed level than me. That's okay, you'll catch up. So when you gain the dust, it comes into here and you can use it to level these slots. You may see here that I have level 3 in cooldown. I have that because of a stone bonus, which I will talk about in the next section of the video. For now though, your inscribed stone level, this is how many slots you can unlock. Of course, if you go to level 3, that means you use 3 slots on one slot here. So basically, you want to level up and snatch whatever you feel is appropriate for your class. So my personal recommendation is to rush up both sides and unlock your rune slots. I will talk about runes in the next section, so don't worry about that. Once you have done that, you have two choices. Depending on how much inscription dust you have, you can rush up to here and grab your core, which is about echo. Echo will be the last thing I talk about in this video. Or you can run up the sides, pick up this stone and these 3 stones. That way you have like the maximum amount of stones, and the stones give you really good stats. I would recommend generally, putting aside this, ignore this because I was playing around with things. generally you want to put 1 point across the board and try to unlock it, like go up towards your core up here. You don't generally want to, for example, put 3 points here, 2 points here, and not go up the board, okay? So make sure you're going up the board. If you don't fully understand perhaps what you want to do, you can hit recommended build and it'll scatter your points out and give you kind of an idea of where the game thinks you should be at. It will remove your stones though, which is a little bit annoying. You can reset your inscription dust at any time and it'll give it all back, and it's completely free. There is no messing up leveling the inscription tree because you don't lose anything. So don't stress if you feel like you have a slightly wrong tree, because you can change it at any time. Now, I've mentioned it more than once, but next up, we're going to talk about stones. Stones are a very important part of the inscription tree. So now we're going to talk about the stones in the inscription tree. So how do you get them? Well, the main method of getting them is through emblem chests. Kind of like the inscription dust, you can get emblem chests from a lot of different things. Get it from doing arcane dungeons, world bosses. Basically, playing the game will give you emblem chests, or you can craft them. So once you've opened them up, it's going to give you runes. Keep in mind that you can put your mouse on the chest like this, hit this, and it'll show you all the possible runes that can come out of the chest. You're going to see here that there are green runes, blue runes, and purple runes. You can also put your mouse over it and it will actually tell you what they do. This is a good way to help you determine what runes you're looking forward to get to, to put into your inscription tree. I will try to put at least all of the purples on the spreadsheet so you can kind of read them and decide on what you want for your own class. Keep in mind that there are multiple emblem chests. For example, if you go into crafting and go down to emblem chests, the higher tier chests will give you a much higher chance of getting a purple, which is what you're after. So let's open the inscription tree back up. Now let's have a look at the runes. So if you click on one of the rune slots, you're going to see a bunch of extra information. So one of the first key thing you want to look at is your attribute bonus. So each rune is going to have an attribute bonus. For example, this one is focus. This is not what I want as a tank, but it's what I've got, right? I'm working with what I've got here. So you have your first line on each of the runes, and you have the secondary effect. So for example here, when I have more than 10 enemies around me, my defense goes up, right? So that's the secondary effect. So initial bonus, secondary effect, and then additional effects. You'll notice here that I have 2 additional effects. These are completely random. If I got 10 of the same runes, so like Steelborn, odds are most of them will have different effects. These are completely random. And if I click over here, you'll notice that it has 3 additional attributes. Because when you level up the stone, they get additional attributes. I don't believe I have any of them here on China right now, but the one that people are mostly looking for, I haven't personally confirmed if this is the best yet. I'm still working on it. But you'll see there's a bunch of different things. So like health, different corners of the nodes are more powerful. But generally what people are looking for is they're looking for a +1 stone effect. So see this effect here? See how it's 2.5%? If I level this up to level, let's say level 10, let's be clean about it and say that this would give me 3% main attribute and 3% stamina, right? Just as an example. If you got pluses in here and you got +1, +1, +1, +1, so the stone level would actually be +14. And because the stone is no longer level 10, this 3% would actually be stronger than 3%. Because your stone is level 14, not level 10. So if your secondary effect is what you want for your class, you would actually be way more powerful. People are buying mass runes and rolling these, trying to get as many pluses as they can to get their optimal runes on their classes. This is an expensive method, and honestly, most people are just going to RNG it and get some luck. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend rolling your stones an insane amount of times going for pluses. I will try to put the different kinds of additional effects on the spreadsheet, but I have no way to guarantee if I'm going to have them all, so I do apologize if I am missing any. And if I am, please do leave it in the comment section, and I will add them to the spreadsheet. So that is pretty much how the runes work. I should probably show you how to upgrade them, right? So if you hit upgrade, and you hit auto select, you'll see here what's going to happen. So +3 to +7, the stamina is going to go up to 73, and it's going to show you. So right now, if I go from 4 to 7, it's going to be 1.6% to 2.8%. Now you can see why level 14 would be much better than level 10, right? Down here, these are the additional effects. I won't see what the third effect is until after I pay, right? So you can't just look at a rune and see all the additional effects. You have to upgrade them and keep going until you find the +1s that I was talking about earlier. The order will always use the green first. Initially, when you're in the game, you can use some blues to like fill out your rune slots or whatever. But pretty quickly, I would say that by the end of week 1, you're gonna likely have at least the ideal purples that you want. Not necessarily the extra stat lines or the attributes, but, you know, at least the right runes. Okay, so now that we've talked about runes, let's have a little chat about Echo. Okay, let's talk Echo. So I'm sure that when you've been in combat, you would have likely have noticed a buff appearing. So in a moment, it will hopefully appear. Here we go. Echo Recharge. So what it does is it triggers Fortuna Echo and improves specialization attributes when it hits 15 stacks. So when you're in combat, it's going to keep going up. Now, it's a little bit difficult to control, but the general idea is that when this hits 15 Echo stacks, it's going to activate and proc your bonuses. So you want to try to land this on top of a burst window. So like use a burst potion and use all of your, you know, damaging abilities right on top of this. For a tank, for example, when it activates, it gives me more glancing, which gives me more defenses. So let's open up the inscription tree again and have a look at the Echo. So this here, there is a 30% chance to inflict 1 stack of Echo Recharge in battle. 15 stacks will increase your combo, crit, or glancing, and is decided by specialization. So if your class needs combo, it'll give you combo. If you need crit, it'll give you crit. If you need glancing, it'll give you glancing. It'll basically give you your ideal stat depending on whatever class you're running. So the core 1 out of 3. Keep in mind that if you want to level to this to level 2, for example, all of these slots before it have to be level 2, right? You can't just level this to level 3 and these be level 1. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably just upgrade the cores. So Fortuna Echo lasts 1 more second, and based upon the specialization selected, crit damage and crit combo are increased by 9% additionally, or glancing effects is improved by 4.5%. Now you can see the next preview level. Fortuna lasts 2 extra seconds, and it's even more powerful. So you might be getting the idea now that when the 15 stack procs, it's actually incredibly powerful. And using it effectively will be the difference between, you know, an average DPS player and a person with much higher DPS because they procced this on top of all their other effects. So up here, Fortuna Echo increases your specialization attribute by 131 additionally. Increases speed and movement speed by 2.5% respectively. You can move faster and you get even stronger. And then all the way up the top will be the last one. Each time you obtain Fortuna Echo, so every 15 stacks, you have a 30% chance to gain 12.5% inscribed stone energy and recover HP. Recover HP is awesome, but the stone energy is your inscription. But this is what you're going to be using quite often, and as you get further in the game, this is going to become more and more powerful, and you're going to want to proc it as much as you can. So you can proc the inscription stone on top of the Echo charge if you want for even more damage. So the Echo, now you understand kind of what Echo does, right? At 15 stacks, you get a boost. Makes sense. Now, there's one more step. Let's open up my gear. So my gear is here in attributes. Now, later in the game, you're going to get special attributes. And if they're, I believe if they're purple, they're going to give you something related to Echo. I don't know if it's always related to Echo, but I found that quite a few of mine are. So let's have a look at my special attribute that I got off the Elite Witch earlier today. Holy Hammer's glancing level plus 12. This is awesome because this is extra glancing. Additionally, 9% chance stackable, so you can get it on more than one piece, to increase Echo Recharge by 1. So I now have a 9% chance to recharge my Echo towards 15 faster, so I can use my Echo more often. There are also other abilities. Unfortunately, I don't think I have them on this global because it's a little bit too early. But on the Chinese server, for example, there were abilities that stated like, after your echo recharged, so let's assume your echo got to 15 and then procced, the next time you use an ability, the ability will do 25% more damage, for example, right? So you proc echo, the next time you use your biggest ability, an extra 25% damage. Proc echo, the next time 25% damage. And a lot of your gear, I don't know if every piece of gear can do it. I'm assuming they can, but I'm not entirely sure. But you can get all these different special attributes that are based around your echo. So, you know, having your echo last longer and proc more often is more and more effective based on your gear. In fact, the Chinese devs just nerfed the Paladin echo effect. Just, I think it was yesterday or the day before, because people were so dependent on getting that, that proc on their gear that they just weren't anywhere near as good if they didn't have it. So, you'd feel like a bit of a lame duck if you didn't have that. And they actually nerfed that and raised the base skill to compensate for it. That's kind of how powerful Echo is. It's kind of like rolling your optimal stats on like, a legendary and other MMOs. You want to get what you want to use. Okay, so we've talked about obtaining inscription dust, we've talked about leveling, we've talked about stone and leveling, and we've talked a little bit about Echo. If you look below the video immediately, there will be a spreadsheet, and it may not be entirely complete. If you see blank spaces, I am still working on it, and it will be quite a bit of information in there by the time I'm done. So please, relax and be patient. I'm working on it. I got a lot of things to work on. But I hope this video has been really helpful, and I really encourage you to look into echoes more and using it with your build to become that much more powerful. I hope today helps. Thanks for watching.